In the 1950s, Bank of America discovered a problem. Most American households maintained some kind of revolving credit accounts with several different merchants, but these separate accounts were inconvenient. There were also charge cards out there, but they often had one use, like Diners Club was mainly for restaurants. There was no general-purpose credit card. Some smaller banks had tried, but failed. So in September 1958, Bank of America launched BankAmericard, the world's first credit card in Fresno, California. But instead of just advertising the card and having people sign up, they mailed out 60,000 working credit cards to the public. What could go wrong, right? Well, they considered that too. That's why they picked Fresno, a city with a big enough population to make it work, but isolated enough that they could control the public relations fallout if the idea went wrong. Initial indicators were good, and competition from other banks caused Bank of America to quickly expand across California. However, losses mounted up. The launch alone lost Bank of America over $8 million, worth about $70 million today. By late 1959, 22% of accounts were delinquent and fraud was rampant. This didn't deter the bank, however. The original manager of the project, who had resigned because of the perceived failure, had never actually worked in the bank's loan department, so Bank of America management came in and cleared things up. They imposed stricter financial controls, apologized in letters to 3 million households across California for the fraud that had taken place, and you'd think they would have stopped mailing random people working credit cards. But they didn't. That continued until it was outlawed by the government in 1970. By the mid-60s, Bank of America started to license their credit card system to banks outside of California. They also expanded internationally, with BankAmericard being issued in the UK by Barclays, for example. By the 1970s, over 100 million cards were in circulation, but BankAmericard had competition from MasterCharge, that would later become MasterCard, Diners Club, and American Express. The transformation of BankAmericard into Visa starts with a man named Dee Hock. He was the manager at the National Bank of Commerce. At this point, Bank of America licensed out the BankAmericard system to different banks across the country, but it had been done in an ad hoc fashion, and there were issues with interchange between banks, and there was also the issue of having cards using the branding of Bank of America, potentially a rival to some banks who issued the card. So Mr. Hock suggested to the banks that they set up a committee to look at this. Hock headed up this committee and somehow managed to persuade Bank of America to give up the BankAmericard program, forming it into National BankAmericard Incorporated, an independent corporation with Hock as the CEO in 1970. By 1974, a similar thing happened with the international versions of BankAmericard, and the International Bank Card Company was formed to manage the international network. In 1976, both companies were renamed as Visa USA and Visa International. Many of the cards kept the same blue, white, and gold design that earlier BankAmericards had, and this became Visa's logo. It was Dee Hock who came up with the name Visa because of how the word was recognized in many different languages. There is still one card bearing the name BankAmericard in existence though, issued by Bank of America itself. The bank brought back the name in 2007 and still uses it today. Thanks for watching everyone, and if you like videos like this, please give a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.